கீழே இருக்குங்க. கொஞ்சம் ஃபோனை கீழே இருக்குங்க. இல்லை இந்த பிளக் மட்டும் கனெக்ட் பண்ணுவோம். ஆமாம் இதுக்கு மட்டும் நான் கொஞ்சம் சீக்கிரம் கொடுங்க.
எனக்கு இதெல்லாம் பார்க்கல. இது மட்டும் வெறும் எக்ஸ்டென்ஷன் கார்டு கண்ணன்.
ஆமாண்ணே
சாதாரண எக்ஸ்டென்ஷன் கார்டு கண்ணன். 4 பிளக் போடணும். இப்படி உட்காந்துருவாங்க. அங்கே சைடில் உட்காந்துருவாங்க. நீங்கள்
எனக்கு இந்த டென்ஷன் தான். அவங்க ஃபோன் அடிச்சு எல்லாரும் ஃபோன் அடிச்சுக்கிட்டு இருக்காங்க.
சொல்லி
தம்பி மெயில் போட்டேன்ப்பா பாரு. ஆமாம் நான் லிங்க்கு என்னப்பா? ஆமாம் ஆன்லைனில் லைவ் ஓடிக்கிட்டு இருக்கு. நீ கொஞ்சம் அதை மட்டும் பாரு, நான் வெளியே வந்துடுறேன். ஆமாம் நான் லிங்க் போட்டிருக்கேன், அதை மட்டும் பாருங்க. எல்லாத்தையும் ஷேர் பண்ணி டக்கு டக்கு டக்குன்னு.
லிங்க் எனக்கு அனுப்பிட்டீங்களா? இல்லை இந்த லிங்க் பேர் சொல்லிட்டீங்கன்னா நான் இங்கே அந்த நோ லிங்க் ரிசீவ்ட் அப்படின்னு எனக்கு இது பண்ணவங்க உட்காந்துருக்கேன்.
நாங்கள் லைவ் ஓடிட்டு சார். நீங்கள் லைவ் எல்லோரும் பார்த்துட்டு இருக்காங்க. யார் யாருக்கு ஷேர் பண்ண சொல்லுங்கள்
சார். இது ஒன்று இது ஒன்று சிடிசி அந்த இருக்குது. சிடிசி இன்னொன்று இருக்குல்ல. சரி இது ஒரு செட்டு
அவங்க ஃபார்வர்ட் பண்ண சொல்லுங்கள். உங்களுக்கு கிளியராக இருக்கும். நீங்கள் வியூ பாருங்கள். உங்களுக்கு
எது அதில் தான் நான் பார்க்கணுமா?
நீங்கள் அங்கே பார்த்து பேசிக்கிட்டே இருக்காங்க. இது நீங்கள் கண்ணோட்டமே பரவாயில்ல.
இல்லை எனக்கு அங்கே இது பொசிஷன் செட் ஆகிருக்காங்க தான். சென்டரில் இருக்கா நேரில் இருக்காங்க இருக்காங்க.
லைவ் போயிட்டுருக்கு.
கொஞ்சம் தூக்கிட்டு இருக்கோ. ஹைட்டு கொஞ்சம் இருக்கணுமா பாருங்கள். எல்லாத்தையும் இருக்கு. அந்தெல்லாம் ஆங்கிள் பார்த்துக்கோங்க. சரியா இல்லையா?
ஓகே சார்.
போட்டிங்களா? எனக்கு அந்த அந்த எண்டு எனக்கு கொடுங்க. நான் வெளியிருந்து கொண்டு இருக்கீங்களா? இது ஒரு செகண்ட் நீங்கள் ஆன்லைனை கட் பண்ணிங்கன்னா நான் இங்கே கனெக்ஷன் கொடுத்துருவேன். ஓகே, அதில் கொஞ்சம் வெயிட் பண்ணிட்டு ஓகே. இங்கே ஒன்றும் இல்லை. என்னோட பார்ப்பேன் நெக்ஸ்ட் குட் மார்னிங், வணக்கம், நமஸ்கார். இன்னைக்கு webinar is going to be on an interesting topic, a very common topic. I've already been introduced to you, so I'm Dr.Dheep, and today we'll see a little about stress, a topic that we are generally familiar with. Okay, now the organization that I have is called Top Kids Foundation, and the basic idea behind this whole organization is preparing children to face life, as you can see there. So usually educational institutions are supposed to be doing this, but unfortunately today the focus is more on academics, isn't it? And so they prepare children to face exams but not face life. So that is the area of vacuum or gap that we are trying to fill. Okay, now for the day, this is going to be a special webinar for the Women's Studies Center of MKU, and we're going to talk about lockdown stress. Right. When you talk about stress, hold on a minute. Wait at the okay, so when the lockdown started, remember the first lockdown 1, that was for 21 days, and when it started we were so happy. The gents who are in the group, if you're wondering why I put the picture of a lady there, it's because this is mainly focused on the Women's Studies Center, isn't it? Fine. So the first 21 days went off wonderfully. All of us are very excited, a new experience, and not only that, there are so many things that we wanted to do, right? Like cleaning up the cupboards, trying new recipes and all sorts of stuff. We had so many ideas but no time, is what we said or we claimed. So in that process, what happened was, the first 21 days we were all excited, we had a wonderful time, we were very happy about what we are doing. But then at the end of the 21 days came lockdown 2. Now when lockdown 2 came, things were a little different. We had already almost done everything that we wanted to do. ஸோ ஒரு மாதிரி எல்லா அந்த எக்ஸைட்மெண்ட்லாம் போயிடுச்சு. 21 நாள் இல்லையா? ஸோ அதெல்லாம் போனதுனால கொஞ்சம் போர்டம் வர ஆரம்பிச்சிருச்சு. செஞ்சதெல்லாம் செஞ்சாச்சு, இப்போ இனிமேல் என்ன செய்ய அப்படிங்கிற ஒரு போர்டம். ஸோ that's for 19 days if you remember. ஸோ அந்த 19 டேஸ்க்கு இருந்த அந்த ஒரு லாக்டவுனில் வந்து we started feeling bored first. That was the first thing. Then lockdown 3 came, and that was for 2 weeks, 14 days, and that's when we started feeling lonely, because for a long time, almost a month and a half now, we have not been able to meet our friends. Of course we talked on the phone or the video, but there's nothing like talking in person, meeting, and having a good time together. So this isolation, this separation started making us feeling very lonely and sad. So this was the lockdown 3 that started having an effect on us. The stress started increasing. We thought, okay, as all of us did, and hoped that lockdown 3 would be the end and then they'll open it. Unfortunately, no. Then came lockdown 4 for the next 2 weeks, another 14 days. And that really made a lot of change in all of us, because the stress levels simply shot through the roof for everybody inside the house. The ones who were working previously, I mean those who are going to the office and stuff, they started feeling so bored and so helpless and wasted that they started feeling irritated, The children at home were bored. We could not keep them occupied. Beyond a point, we had done everything to keep them entertained or occupied. So everybody was going into this next phase, which was the irritation phase. Now remember, when that irritation phase came, this whole process of lockdown 1, 2, 3 and 4, from lockdown we moved on to the next phase, at least mentally, because of the high stress, and that is more of a lock up sort of a phase. Okay, now that is why this picture, to show that while initially in the previous slide we have noticed, while initially we felt very free and happy and ready to do anything and everything, suddenly we found that we are stuck and we are now more in a lock-up situation rather than a lockdown situation, right? So now once this sort of a feeling that we are now locked up ourselves with no freedom to do anything we liked and so on, when that came, that definitely made our stress levels really shoot up, isn't it? Okay, now we were talking about lock-up and lockdown. Now English is a very funny language, it's an eccentric language. Wonderful, yes, but it has its eccentricities. A lot of words are silent, as you know, and a lot of words like this, lock up, lock down, are they the same? Are they different? Think about it. Try to find out. Anyway, I'm not telling you now. If time permits, we'll talk about it later. So lock up and lock down, almost the same. They mean the same thing, isn't it? Only difference is, when you lock up somebody or something, you are going to find that person in a big group, pick that person and put them behind bars or behind a room or lock them in a room. So that's called a lock up. To protect the rest of the society, you pick up one or two people or whoever is involved, the problematic persons, and put them under lock and key. So that is lock up. Now lockdown, as you know, is the other way around. It's the whole community, a city or a whole area, containment area. All the people, the public is put under restrictions and they're told what to do, what they cannot do and all that, so that everybody cooperates for their own well-being and for the well-being of the society at large. So that is lockdown. Similar but a little different, that's it. Anyway, now if you remember the lock-up analogy I told you, ஒருத்தரை வந்து லாக்அப்பில் போடணும், பிடிச்சி போடுங்க, நம்ம சொல்லுவார்ல சந்தானம் சொல்கிற மாதிரி, அவரை பிடிச்சி உள்ளே போடுங்க சார் அப்படின்னு சொல்கிற மாதிரி, if you want to lock up somebody who is causing problems, what we should do in that crowd, in the public, amongst the public, you have to identify that person. இல்லையா, யாருன்னு தெரியும், நம்ம யாரை லாக்அப்பில் போடுறது. So you have to pick up that person and then put him or her under lockup. Correct? சும்மா போய் யாரையோ ரெண்டு பேரை பிடிச்சி உள்ளதுக்கு போட்டுட்டு நாங்கள் லாக்அப் பண்ணிட்டோம் அப்படின்னா the problem is not going to be solved because the problem person is still outside in the public society. Similarly, today we are talking about locking down or locking up stress. So if you want to lock down stress, you need to go and pick up stress, isn't it? What is causing your stress? What exactly is the source of your stress in தெரிஞ்சாதானே you can pick up that stress and find ways of keeping it under control so that you are able to live peacefully, happily. Correct? Logical? Right. Check. So the first process in this whole thing when we talk about stress is going to be this question, answering this question: what is stress? So now you all got your chats, isn't it? Go to the chat, please answer that question. What is stress? Quickly type it out in this format. Stress is ... whatever you think. 2 minutes quickly for you to type it down. I'll check and then I'll come back to you with that. A couple of answers have started coming in. A few more, please, we can try. Then based on that, we can start talking. So I want you to tell me, what is stress? And the word stress, what have you understood by that word? What do you mean by the word stress? Okay, so some of them have even started mentioning another word, bringing in another word in this conversation, and that is strain. So somebody has said stress and strain. They have linked the two in a sentence. Okay, so that's a different word. Okay, it's mental pressure. Yeah. Okay. So there are many ways in which we look at this particular event called stress, isn't it? So stress and Vishయం Paranga, if I see, all the answers are different, and each one has a different take on it, different understanding of the word stress. So although I know in this group there are a lot of you who are postgraduates, who have done your doctorates, extremely well educated and all that, I am going to spend a little time on all this basics, because a lot of the students have to benefit from this. So I am going to be a little at the basic level. I hope it will be useful to you too. So what is stress? This is something we must understand first before we think about controlling stress, managing stress, locking down stress, etc. etc. Okay? Okay, I'll give you a small example. Okay? Yeah, I still get a lot of interesting answers are coming in. Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay, we'll go straight away into the explanation, right? Now, what is stress? Look at this picture. You see a two-wheeler and one man riding it. Okay? Now, as you know, a two-wheeler is meant for one or two persons to ride, isn't it? That is the way it is built. It's meant for two people. Okay, so when one person rides it, is the vehicle comfortable? In the sense, engine is comfortable. It is able to take your weight. It is able to take the load. It is able to move comfortably wherever you want. It can go fast. It brakes well. You apply your brakes. It stops immediately. Everything. It works as it is supposed to work. Correct? And because that is designed for that, the whole system has been designed for this purpose. No problem. See the next picture. Now you have an additional person, the second person. So you have added the load more, but then still this vehicle is again built to be able to accept this load and keep going comfortably. It's able to go fast, it's able to brake effectively, efficiently, the balance is good, etc. etc. Good enough? But then you know what happens in our traffic, isn't it? Especially with the youngsters. We see a lot of this. Triples. Okay? Now, and not only triples, as you can see, they're taking their elderly people, it's more weight also. So now, for the same bike, the load has become much more. Now, do you think, compare the first slide of one man riding and this, do you think the bike engine of the first person is comfortable or the one in the last, the third? Obviously the first. He is driving very comfortably, no problem, whereas the person in the third, the bike is going to have a lot of problems. It's going to find it difficult to pull this weight. It is going to find it difficult to maneuver or balance as it drives along the roads, and the gentleman is going to have a lot of difficulty in braking and stopping without tumbling or losing balance, isn't it? It becomes more and more and more difficult as the load starts increasing. Even this we are quite used to, even this we can manage, but then we are India, isn't it? Jugat, the country where anything and everything goes, and strangely we see sites like this at the bottom of your screens. Crazy, isn't it? Crazy, isn't it? But then one bike which is meant to take a single person or two persons ends up taking the whole family, sometimes the extended family with the dog and the puppy and the cat, right? Okay, so we can well imagine what happens in these two instances, how difficult that bike is going to feel to pull this weight. So if in the first picture you see a person giving the accelerator like this and the bike starts moving, for the third, fourth or fifth pictures you will have to give the throttle like this, so the engine is going to go before it even starts moving. So it's going to be under tremendous pressure to perform, isn't it? Okay, so this basically tells you what stress is about. It gives you a little idea about stress. Now, since somebody else has also mentioned the word strain, I'll put in a little word about that. Stress is the load that you put on a system. It could be a bike, it could be the human body, any system. They are a biological system, that's a mechanical system, that's about all. So the load you put on a system is the stress. Now what happens to the system because of that stress is strain. For example, in the last two pictures at the bottom you'll see, because of the weight, the tires will become flat, the tires can even the wheel can even bend, the whole framework can become soft or bend in the middle. So all these changes to the structural changes that can happen to a system because of stress or the load is strain. Okay, since somebody has asked about strain, I'm telling you that also. So basically when you say stress, what we are talking about is a load on any system is stress. And when you are talking about a human body, the load on our human mind is stress. Okay. Now beyond these pictures, I'll show you another picture. Look at this. Here also it's another bike, but very adventurous fellows. These guys are not even satisfied with the pictures that you have seen already. They are even more adventurous and they are more ambitious. They have put a big, almost a tractor load of stuff and then connected it to this. So you know what's going to happen. Look at the wheels of the vehicle. Both the wheels have taken off, isn't it? They have lifted off the floor because the weight is so much that the vehicle is now no longer able to take the stress. So when the stress has become too much, you have what is called a breakdown. This is basically a breakdown where in the next few minutes the guy is going to get lifted off. The bike is probably going to get thrown off. The guy is going to fall down. There's going to be a lot of problem, isn't it? So same thing happens to us also mentally. As the stress, the load increases and the stress becomes too much, at that point of time, what happens is we go through what is called a mental breakdown, or we have a serious emotional breakdown, right? So please understand, stress is nothing more than the load on any system. Okay, so that is stress definition, or at least the understanding. And strain is what happens to that system physically, the physical transformation, disfigurement that happens because of stress. Okay, right. So now we go on to the next one. Right. In real life, of course, there are a lot of things that can cause a lot of stress for us. We know that. And these are all issues that are very common to all of us. Commitments, finances, family, job, legal. Today for anything and small, every little thing, there are some legal issues coming up. Somebody files a complaint unnecessarily, sometimes just to trouble us. All this happens. The real world is like that, we understand. And there you find that we have also legal problems. So all these are some of the reasons. It's not an extensive, of course, absolutely not. There are hundreds of reasons why you can feel stressed. These are some of the reasons. So all of us in different degrees have stress throughout our life, in fact throughout our day. Okay, so therefore stress has become a problem because it doesn't spare any age. As you can see, even children, even little children as 2 years old or 3 years old, talk about tension. You tell them to do something, சாப்பிட மாட்டேன், பசிக்கல, சாப்பிடுறா, ஏன் அப்படி டென்ஷன் ஆக்குற, 3-year-old, 4-year-old, these are the words they use. So the word stress or tension has even percolated right down to the youngest of ages, and of course the elders, even the elderly, everybody. So no one, no age. And not only that, no socio-economical. It's not the rich or the poor, the well-educated, not educated. Nothing makes a difference. It's common. Stress is a problem, universal to everybody, because the reasons are of course different depending on the group that you belong to. The rich have their own problems, the poor have their own set of problems, the educated have their own set of problems, the uneducated, they have so on and so forth. So stress may be, the reason may be different, but all of us human beings definitely undergo stress during our lifetime. Okay, right. Now can you identify and type the answer for what this symbol represents? Quickly in the chat, type down, what does this symbol represent, stand for?
Present scenario, technical, teachers are
yeah, no, next, come on. It's a very common symbol, I'm sure you, and it is one of the stuff in discussion today, even recent past. A lot of discussion about this organization is going on in TV and everywhere. It's hot news. Yes, you've got one answer for that. Yes, very good. Yes, 2, 3. Yeah, right, good. So now you've got the answers coming in, correct? Whatever written is very true. It is WHO, and that's of course the World Health Organization, correct? Okay. Now, why have I brought this up? I'll tell you. Now, all of us and most of us know what is soft skills, what is life skills. A lot of soft skills we have, for our students we give them so many lectures and seminars like this on soft skills, isn't it, for our children, for the students. Even adults, a lot of us go and attend personality development classes, or stress management classes, anger management classes, so on and so forth. So there are lots of dozens and dozens of different soft skills and life skills. Okay. Now, what WHO has done is, out of all these dozens of life skills, it has identified 10 specifically, and it has called it as 10 essential life skills. You understand? 10 essential meaning for life. These 10 are the most important. You got it? Right. Now, what are these 10? Self-awareness, empathy, problem-solving, decision-making, interpersonal relation, coping with stress, emotions, creative and critical thinking, communication. These are the 10 essential life skills. Now, there is no mention about studies, degrees, UG, PG, doctorates. Is there anything of that mentioned here? You can be an absolute illiterate, but if you have these 10 essential life skills, you will be successful in life. That is the message. In fact, I don't have to give you very complicated examples. 2 generations before us, our own grandfathers or great-grandfathers were not educated. They did not even go to school. They were working in the farms or fields, isn't it? But they had the intelligence to know when it will rain, when to sow the seed, when not to do it, when rains are likely to come. All these things they were able to do without going and getting a degree in meteorology. But today we have meteorologists, everyday news report, weather report, everything. And the weather report says tomorrow it's going to rain heavily, carry your umbrella, and it's burning hot. Isn't it? And then it says nice weather tomorrow, and then pours like hell. So our forefathers, even though they were not educated, were able to do that because of the other skills, the important skills, creative thinking, critical thinking, which is what our forefathers had a lot. So they were able to do this because of that. And same thing with money. Is there any mention of money in those 10? No. You don't have to be rich to be happy. You don't have to be rich to be successful. No. It is not an essential life skill at all. Yes, it helps you a lot when it is there with you. But in fact, many times it could be the source of your stress. That's different when you have the income tax rate and stuff like that. But that is not an essential life skill. Again, look at our own great-grandfathers. They were not filthy rich. They didn't have all the comforts that we have. But they were happier, 100% happier than you and me today. We have everything and still we are not happy. Are we? No. We still want more. We still think, I don't have this. I have a 15-inch TV. The neighbor buys a 55-inch TV. I lose my happiness. I become stressed. So, richness, money, studies, your academics, I'm the professor, I'm the dean, I'm the director, all these things is okay, but it does not make a difference to your quality of life. If you understand that, then your life will be successful, stress-free. Otherwise, your life could be successful, within quotes I'm saying, judged by others saying, that sort of a vanjapuhalchi will always be there. And so you think, see, I've got this, put your collar up and you think I've got a car, I've got a bungalow and all that, but you will not be happy inner peace. Inside you will not be peaceful, right? So these are the 10 essential life skills, and one of those 10, which is just being circled now, is coping with stress, right? And that is the reason why we are giving importance to this topic of stress again and again. Okay, right. Now, since we are talking about stress and we are saying we need stress management and all this stuff, and I will not be surprised, in fact, if now among the participants today, there are a lot of you who are faculty members, assistant professors, directors and all that. I wouldn't be surprised if you are all more stressed than your own students. I wouldn't be surprised at all, because our thinking is so much, we have so many other things to think about that we are likely to feel more stressed. Okay, so the first question, now let's clear that base first. Is stress good or bad? Onto the chat box, please type it down. Is stress good or bad? I can go to the next question itself. So is stress good or bad? Type pannunga. Let me know what you think. And if you say yes, stress is good, you'll have to tell me why. If you say no, stress is bad, you'll have to tell me why. Short answer, that's it. Good, good, good. Okay. Good, yes, yes, it's coming up. Yes, good, thank you. Bad, yes, good, bad. Bad, true, come, good. Oh, okay, I'm having one good. Very nice. A mixture of good and bad. Stress is not good, bad, good, good and bad both. Excellent. So we got about 20 answers and more running. So there seems to be a good mix of good and bad. Okay, so that means among the participants today, right here in front of me, some of you think it is good, some of you think it's bad. Now, unless we clear this doubt, I cannot proceed further, correct? I cannot talk to you about stress management when there are some people who still think stress is good, which is what I'm getting. Quite a few are saying good also. Right, okay. So, let's clear that doubt first. Now, look at this word that I'm showing on your screen. Comfort. What does it mean? Comfort means, being without any problem or pain, isn't it? No pain, no nothing. You are feeling happy and nice. Feel a good feeling of niceness, isn't it? That's comfort. Is that a good word or not? Is it good or not? Do we want comfort or not? Yes, of course we want. So comfort is good, no doubts in that. But look what happens when this gets added. When you add this to this is a word that gives the opposite meaning. You can, for understanding, you can simply say this is a short form of disturb, although it is not, but you can understand it like that. So when disturbance to comfort comes, you get what is called discomfort. Now, is discomfort good or bad? Do we want discomfort? Of course not. None of us want to be uncomfortable or discomforted, isn't it? So discomfort. Look at the other word, another word. Ease. Ease is feeling nice, very comfortable. That is ease, isn't it? So what happens? That's a good word, no doubt in that. What happens to this when the same dis gets added? Disease. நம்ம நோய்களுக்கு என்ன வார்த்தை சொல்றோம் in Tamil? The word we use for illness is disease. Where do you think it came from? Here. A person or a system, the human system, when it is at ease, everything is good, all the systems are functioning normally, temperature is normal, digestion is normal, etc. When that gets disturbed for some reason, you end up in what's called disease, isn't it? So disease is bad. Now, in the same way, please remember this. Stress is good. I'm very happy that at least there are quite a lot of, even now it's coming up, there are quite a lot of you who said stress is good. True. Stress is good. What is the problem is when this disturbance comes and adds to that, and it becomes distress. Now, distress spelt in the way it is spelt up, the other three words will be with double S, isn't it? Dis plus stress in eludano. So that's why it is written without one S. So basically it's the same combination that works here. Stress is good. Distress, which is the disturbance to stress or the enhancement of stress which has made things bad, that is what we don't want. So we need stress. Some of you have also mentioned in your chat that stress is required for us to feel motivated, for us to develop ourselves, for us to improve our life, etc. Excellent answers. Very true. That is the reason why we need stress. Without stress, none of us will want to go out to the class. In fact, if there is no stress, none of you will be sitting in front of the TV and watching me and listening to me, isn't it? Why should you? You want to improve yourself. You think, okay, 1 hour with this person, I might learn 1 or 2 things. It might be of use to me. It might be helpful to me. So, although I might spend 1 full hour here, I might get 1 or 2 at least important things or some useful information for me. So, you're willing to put up with 1 hour of stress. Listening to my lecture is definitely a stress. I accept that. But then you're willing to do it because you think you might learn something from here, isn't it? So that is how we work. That's how the human mind works. We are willing to put up with stress. We go for work, get up in the morning, get dressed, get the children ready, get the husband ready to off to work, get the food ready, travel, come back, prepare the next day's food, prepare all this we are ready to pull out because we think that gives us a salary, and with that we can lead a better life. So there is some reason why we do this, but stress is definitely something that we need to keep us motivated and to drive us to do better in real life. Alright? Okay. Now, having said that, there is another, the word for normal stress is technically is eustress, EU. Now, if there are anybody here who has a thyroid problem, if there are anybody in the audience, you will know, or somebody in your house, in the blood test report, thyroid பண்ணி வந்தோன்னா report வரும்போது, if the report is normal, the impression கடைசியில் எழுதும்போது செய்வாங்க, all the tests are normal, the patient is euthyroid, EU போட்டு euthyroid அப்படிங்கிற வார்த்தை யூஸ் பண்ணுங்க. It means the thyroid level is normal னு அர்த்தம். Okay, so the other word, technical word is eustress. That's a good stress. Okay, right. Now, having said that eustress or stress is good, please remember another thing. The same normal stress, if slowly it starts increasing, it's small, it's a small stress, all right, but then slowly the stress starts increasing a little by little by little. At one point it might become too much. Or the stress is small, but it keeps happening again and again and again. What I have given you as an EMI, now you have taken a loan. Within the first 5 days of the month, you have to pay it back. The due comes, you pay it, and then you forget about everything for the next 20 days because you're busy with other expenses, other problems, etc. But the end of the month or the beginning of the month, first or second, suddenly it strikes you. Oh my God, the next EMI is due. I need to pay that money. Again, another stress. So when it keeps on happening like this, month after month after month, this is just one example. It could be any other form of stress. Anything that happens like this again and again, that also can become a little extra or add on too much. Okay? Or what's happening right now, too long. Stress is, it's a normal stress. You are given a vacation. A lockdown is giving you a vacation, man. Look at it the positive side. No work for you, you'll get paid, stay at home, enjoy, spend time with your family. Who doesn't want? That's paradise. That is not punishment, isn't it? And yet, we feel the stress now. All of us are getting stressed about it because it's been too long. 15 days, 20 days, yes, we accepted it. We kept ourselves very busy, we kept the children happy, we were very happy to be with the family together, everything was fine. But then next lockdown, and then slowly it became too long. So even though the stress was smaller in intensity, the length or the duration was long, and therefore even this normal stress finally ended up becoming distress now. So most of us have a problem here because even the normal stress has become too much, too often, and too long. Okay. Now, so what happens? You say stress is good, then you say distress is bad, but then you say even stress can become distress. What are you trying to say? There is a magic word for this, and that magic word is balance. So what you need to know is there is a need for all of us to have a little bit of stress as the motivation, as the motivating or driving force. But then if it becomes too much, then we have problems. If you are able to keep it under check, enough motivation with enough relaxation for us to keep the life going smoothly, happily, that is the perfect balance. And that is what we should aim at. That's why I call it the magic word. And this is even more important for people who are working. A lot of you are doctors and assistant professors and all that. One group of you are students. You have your own. For you, of course, work is your studies. Okay, so work-life balance means both. Even as a student, you have your work to do. You have to do your projects. You have to write your, prepare for your seminars. You have to write your exams. All that is your work. And life is the real life that you live away from whatever is your work space or workplace. Now, unfortunately, now during lockdown, these two have merged, isn't it? Work from home. So you are doing your work from a place where you are supposed to be relaxing, which is home. And that's another reason why we get a little bit of stress added on. Now, if we know how to balance this, things will work out. So remember this, the magic word is balance. If you're able to balance the work stress and the real life stress, then we'll have a reasonably happy life. Okay. To understand this better, just take a look at this. Half a minute, answer. What is this? What instrument is this? Quick, type it out. What instrument is this? It's a stringed instrument. What is it called? Yeah. Okay. Start typing. Very good. Okay, I've started getting the answers. Now, it might seem silly to you that I'm showing a Veena and asking what is this? Don't you think we know? We don't know this. You'll be very surprised at the answers that I get when I go to colleges or when I do parenting sessions and I ask the same question. Show the picture. There are some very interesting answers that I get. Okay. Anyway, that's all right. The point here is, look at this. This is what is called a stringed instrument. Tandihal solluvaanga string idu Tamil la illaya. Any idea how many strings are there in a Veena? Okay, type it out. Let's see how smart you guys are about our own culture. how many strings are there in a normal veena? Start typing it out. Okay? Right. Start typing the numbers. Right. Now, the answers are coming in. Some of... okay. Okay, even now I'm getting an answer for the veena itself as a different instrument. Yeah, this is sort of certain different answers I used to get. Okay, now the numbers are coming in. Some of you have said 6, somebody is saying 7, 4, 6, and so on and so forth. So, again, see, a lot of things நமக்கு எல்லாம் தெரியும். We think we know everything. நம்ம ஊரில் வீட்டுக்கு வீடு இருக்கிற வீணை, எங்கே போனாலும் கச்சேரியில் நடக்கிற வீணை. What your mind does not know, your eyes do not see. தெரியுமா? Meaning, if you have that knowledge, when you see something, you will appreciate its value. When you don't know its worth, you will not appreciate its value. வீணை வாசிக்கிறாங்கிறோம், வீணை காயத்ரிங்கிறோம், வீணை அவங்கங்கிறோம், சிட்டு பாபு வீணைங்கிறோம், கேள்விப்பட்டிருக்கோம். இவ்வளோ பார்த்துருக்கோம், எத்தனை கச்சேரி பார்த்துருக்கோம், இல்லை லைவில் நல்லா இருக்குன்னுலாம் சொல்கிறோம். அது வீணையில் எத்தனை கம்பி இருக்குன்னு பார்த்தோமா, தந்திகள். ஓகே, so the right answer is 7. Okay, some of you have got it right, and you go and check it up again. That numbers don't matter now. The reason is this. Why I'm asking you this is a good example of balance. When you இந்த வீணையோட ஸ்ட்ரிங்கை கட்டுறாங்க இல்லையா, ரெண்டு எண்டில், ஒன் ஆன் தி ரைட் சைட், நீங்கள் பார்த்தீங்கன்னா உங்கள் ஸ்க்ரீனில் ரைட் சைடில் இருக்கிற எண்டில் எல்லாத்தையும் முடிச்சு போட்டு, முடிச்சுலேருந்து வந்து முன்னாடி வந்து அந்த யாழி மூஞ்சிக்கிட்ட வந்து திருப்பி அங்கே வந்து டைட் ஆகும். அதை நம்ம வந்து அங்கே அந்த இதை வச்சு டைட் பண்ணுவோம். கரெக்ட், இன்ஸ்ட்ருமெண்ட்ஸ் வச்சு அதை டைட் பண்ண அது டைட்டாக வந்து அந்த இது சவுண்ட் கரெக்டாக வரும். ஸோ நம்ம வந்து அந்த கட்டின பிறகு எல்லாத்தையும் ஒன்றா டிங் டாங் டோங் அந்த சரிகமாக அந்த எல்லாம் போட்டு பார்ப்பாங்க. கரெக்டாக அந்த சுருதி செட் ஆகணும். அப்போ தான் அதுலேருந்து வர்ற இசை கேட்குற மாதிரி இருக்கும் இல்லையா? அதுதான் ஸ்வரங்கள் அதுலேருந்து வரும். 7 ஸ்வரங்கள்னால் அதுலேருந்து வரும். ஒழுங்காக செட் பண்ணாமல் இந்த பக்கம் அந்த பக்கம் கனெக்ஷன் மட்டும் கொடுத்துட்டு அரைங்குறையமாக ஒன்று ரொம்ப டைட்டாக ஒன்று ரொம்ப லூசன் வச்சோம்னா அபஸ்வரம் தான் வெளியே வரும். கரெக்ட்? ஸோ வாழ்க்கையில் நம்ம வாழ்க்கை நல்ல இசையாக மாதிரி நல்ல ஒரு ஸ்வரங்களோட சந்தோஷமாக ஒரு சிறப்பாக அமையணும்னா ஸ்ட்ரெஸ் வேணும். நீங்களே எல்லோரும் சொல்கிறீங்க நிறைய பேர். ஸ்ட்ரெஸ் வேணும், ஆனால் கரெக்ட் பேலன்ஸில் இருக்கணும். டூ மச் ப்ராப்ளம், டூ லிட்டில் நோ யூஸ், இஸ்ன்ட் இட்? ஸோ டூ மச் ஆனால் என்ன உங்களுக்கு தெரியல, ஸ்ட்ரிங்கை ஓரளவுக்கு ஓவராக டைட் பண்ணணும்னு என்னாகும், டிங் 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 அவ்வளோதான். கட் ஆச்சுன்னா அதோட அது முடிஞ்சு போச்சு, அந்த ஸ்ட்ரிங்கு போச்சு இல்லையா? ஸோ ஓவராக ஸ்ட்ரெஸ் கொடுத்தோன்னா you end up with what is called a mental breakdown. Correct? So please understand. So that just for you to remember. So just one figure was probably remind you of the stress and how important it is to balance the stress. Appo the stress will remain eustress and will not go into distress. Remember, stress is like the strings of a melodious veena. Melodious veena நான் சொல்லியிருக்கேன். அப்போ வீணானா அது எப்படினாலும் இருக்கலாம். மெலோடியஸ் வீணா இருக்கணும்னா கரெக்ட் ஸ்ட்ரெஸ் இருக்கணும். போதுமான அளவு இருக்கணும், டென்ஷன் ஓவராகவும் இருக்கக்கூடாது, ரொம்ப கம்மியாக இருக்கக்கூடாது. ஓகே, ரைட். நவ் ஸ்ட்ரெஸ்னால் என்ன? இட்ஸ் அ லோட் ஆன சிஸ்டம்னு சொல்லிட்டோம். அது ஸ்ட்ரெஸ் நல்லதாக கெட்டாதான்னு பார்த்துட்டோம். ஸ்ட்ரெஸ் நல்லது, டிஸ்ட்ரெஸ் தான் பேட், அதையும் பார்த்துட்டோம். அதை எப்படி சார் இதுனா என்ன அதுனா என்னங்கிறதுக்கு அர்த்தமும் இப்போ சொல்லிட்டோம். பேலன்ஸ் பண்ணோம். பேலன்ஸ் பண்ணிங்கன்னா that is the correct level to be maintained சொல்லிட்டோம். சரி, அப்போ இந்த ஸ்ட்ரெஸ்ஸை வந்து வாட் காசஸ் ஸ்ட்ரெஸ், நமக்கு என்னெல்லாம் ஸ்ட்ரெஸ் காஸ் பண்ணுது, வாட் ஆர் த ரீசன்ஸ் that cause stress to us? குயிக்காக டைப் பண்ணுங்க பார்ப்போம். What are the things that can cause stress for us? Okay, another thing is, I just noticed that there are quite a few of you who do not follow English. I'm going a little bilingual because the real target here is the undergraduate and PG students, the girl students of MKU. But then all of us are here together, so I am staying with English as much as I can, but then I need to use a little bit of Tamil so that they will be able to understand the gist of what I'm saying a little better. That's the reason. I'll try to stay more with English. I'm sorry if many of you have not understood. At the end, you can ask me the doubts and I'll probably clarify it for you. Not an issue at all. Don't worry. Okay? So what causes stress? Financial problems, yes. Can be anything. Okay, deadlines, mental tension, over expectations, family problems. Very good, very good. Overburden, work, dilemmas, anger, over expectations, overthinking and over expectations seems to be a common thing. Family problems, financial problems. Excellent. So you see, the number of reasons that we can have stress is huge, isn't it? There's so many reasons, and even as we are talking, the chat box is simply flooding with the answers, and each one has a different reason of why stress happens to us. Okay, to understand this, now most of you have given a lot. Wonderful. Okay, unwanted thinking, loss of our loved ones, overthinking, workload. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Family problems, financial problems. Okay, Corona. Very nice. One of you have written Corona, correct? The pandemic itself. I'm surprised that not many of you have written children, because many houses I find that children are a source of pleasure and a problem. Okay, I'm surprised that does not come up. Anyway, that's all right. So lots of reasons. Now, if you see the chat and you analyze it, you will find almost all the reasons: family, financial, over expectations, problems with others, things like that. All these reasons seem to point out that the external pressure becomes so much that stress works on our mind and we get stressed out and end up in distress. Okay, that's the way what you have written seems to suggest. Okay, to make this clear, look at this picture again. Those of you who know will be able to identify this ship as the Titanic, isn't it? Okay, this is, the story about the Titanic. Do you know how it sank? Okay, it sank by hitting an iceberg, correct? Okay. Now, a huge ship like this, one of the best in the world, in fact, the best in the world at that time, it was actually even before its time. The technology used was absolutely top of the line, and the best engines, the most powerful engines were used, everything was top. Okay. Now, but in spite of that, that huge, beautiful, in fact, the name of the ship was called the Unsinkable Titanic. That was the name given to the ship because it was supposed to have been built by the engineers in such a very scientific, technologically advanced way in those days, so that nothing can sink the ship, it seems. So they called it the Unsinkable Titanic. And do you know when it sank? On the very first voyage. The first trip itself it sank. And how did it sink? It sank by hitting the iceberg. Now, look at this. You know what is an iceberg? It's a huge hillock or a hill or a mountain of ice in the water. That's it. So sizes can vary. Now, depending on the size, the visibility is different. Huge thing you will see, small things you will not see. That's different. But then the basic physics remains the same. Which physics? I want you to now type how much of an ice cube or an ice ball will be above water and how much will be below water. You can imagine a glass of water, you put an ice cube inside. All of us have had soft drinks, we have had whatever drinks with ice inside. And I told you first about, isn't it, what your mind does not know, eyes do not see. So, do you know how much of that ice cube you put into a glass of water sinks? Does it go fully under? Does it stay fully out? What percentage is inside, outside? Please type it quickly. And that is important also, so that I can explain to you better. Okay? Answers. Okay, 1/4 above, 1/11 above water. What sort of a calculation is that? Okay, 1/11 is above water. Okay, 1/3, yes, 1/3 is above water. So 1/3 is above water, 2/3 below water. Okay, 1/3 more underwater. More now, what are you saying? More in the sense of 2/3? Some of you are very vague. Some of you have said 1/3. Yes, 1/3 seems to be very common. 80% inside, 1/3, 50-50. Okay, so 1/3 was there, now it is 50-50, half and half. 1% has written 10% on top and 90% below. Another one has written 50%, 50%. Excellent. We had a wonderful set of answers here. The whole range is there, isn't it? More above, more inside, 50%, 33 above, 66. And the right answer, of course, is what Mr. Bhojaraj has said. 10% is above and 90% is below. Okay? Half sinking, half in, 80%. No. The correct answer is this. One of them have told that very correctly. It is 10% above, 90% below the water. So what happened to the Titanic was this. While it was sailing, yes, they managed to see it. It was a huge iceberg. So they did see it. And they moved away. Actually, they were coming straight towards the iceberg. The iceberg is here. The ship was coming straight. They saw it, and once they saw it, they took a turn and then moved away from it. So they thought they were safe. If you can see in the picture here, there is a space between the ice cube, the iceberg, and the ship, isn't it? There's quite a lot of space. So they thought, okay, we have moved safely away, and then kept proceeding. But we know that only 10% is above water, and then how much is below water? 80%. Now that is where the difficulty has come in. And because of that 80%, 90% under the water, that was in a jagged shape, and that is what hit the ship on the side. And because the ship was moving, isn't it? So you have this piece of sharp ice pointing like this inside the water. The ship is above, but the bottom of the ship, it hit the water, and because the ship is moving fast, it's a fast ship, big ship, it just kept tearing through the side, all along the side. It simply made a big gash on the side, water rushed in, and then it tilted. Okay, then you know the story, I've seen the movie, you know what it is. The point here is, why am I talking about this when I'm talking about stress? The reason is this. We think, as most of you have typed in your chat, we think that all our problems, our stress is because of what are called external factors, like you said, workload, deadlines, and this and that, arguing, family problems, financial. We think that is the reason. You must understand, if you remember this iceberg, you'll remember this. External factors contribute only 10% to our problems, to our stress. Internal factors are what contributes 90% to feeling stress. So when you see something, when you hear something, when you experience something, if you are able to look at it in a different way, it will not be stressful. If you look at it in a complicated way, it will become stressful. And that is decided by the internal factors, not by the whole event that's happening in front of you at all. Put in other words, I'll show you another slide. What you see in the experience in the conscious level, that's the white area you can see above. That's your thoughts, your perception, how you understand the situation. This is only 10%. But that 10% is decided completely by the 90%, which is right down below. Memories, stored knowledge, violent motives that you had before, selfish needs, bad experiences, sexual desires, fears, our already exposed knowledge. All these things, play a role in looking at a situation and giving a meaning to it. Is it stressful? Is it not stressful? That is decided in a split second by our mind, by the subconscious mind, and that is pushed into our conscious 10%, and then we perceive it like this. Oh, this is stressful. Oh, this is nothing. So that change in looking at the same thing and thinking, you see, even while you're traveling, you see there's a small accident, somebody falls down, there's one person who looks at it like this and just turns and just keeps going, nothing at all, no reaction. There's somebody who jumps down immediately, goes there, takes the person and is so agitated, call the police, call the ambulance and all that. So it's the same event, but the way we react, that perception changes because of this 90% of input interaction that takes place inside our mind, subconscious mind, and comes out into our conscious thought. Remember that. So we normally think that stress is caused by external factors, other events or incidents or whatever it is. But the fact is, actually stress is caused by the way we look at or interpret, which is the more important aspect, because the mind does the interpreting, the way you look at or interpret these events or incidents internally. So how we look at it internally is what really matters. That is what decides whether an event is looked at as stressful or not. So having now understood what is stress, what causes stress, now we can go on to the second half of the presentation, which is locking down the stress. That's the second half, isn't it? So here when you talk about stress, let us catch stress. Now that we know we can identify stress, our own sources of stress, let us catch it and lock it up so that we get relieved by stress, and then we are able to unlock what? Happiness, isn't it? That's the second part of the presentation. So we are now planning to unlock our happiness and getting out of stress. Okay? Right. To get out of stress, I'm going to give you a few tips, what are called self-management plans to handle this. I'm saying specifically self-management. This has nothing to do with medicines. It is not management by others. I tell you what to do. You go to that person, you'll get relief. No, this is self-management. Just now you have finished talking about stress, and stress is caused 90% by self, isn't it? Our own mind. So where should you look for relief? Within our mind, isn't it? If you're able to clear that problem inside our minds, stress disappears. So some of the self-management plans: exercise, hobbies, games. Excellent ones, meaning physical exercise, physical hobbies, games. All these are excellent ways of letting out steam our emotions get relaxed, we sweat out a lot, we become fresh, our mind becomes fresh, and therefore we become more relaxed. A very important, very important in fact, aspect of self-management is family time. Spending time with family and good friends, that is very important, which we have realized now during this particular lockdown, corona lockdown, pandemic. We have realized the importance of family time. We have realized who are really close to us, who really matter to us. The prioritization, what is priority number 1? It's your family. 2, your friends, and so on. They are able to prioritize now. All this time we thought work is important, pleasing my boss is important, becoming a professor is important, getting transfer and getting 10,000 more in my salary. We thought all this was important. No, it is not. It is important, yes, but in a minor way. What is really important is friends, family, values, and all. We'll come to that. So the second attached aspect of family time is socializing, which means your friends, spending time with your friends, relatives. Relatives is important because most of us have now forgotten our relatives. Our own children do not know. They call everybody auntie, uncle. Chittapava, Periyapava. Periyapava, iduva, mamava, machana, unnu theriyadu. All uncles and aunties, no? Finish. So we become like that. Socialization, understanding your family and friends is very important. All that is related. That's why I put both together with the same picture. Other way of relaxation, many of us think looking at movies. Some of us like to watch movies, some of us like to go for a walk, whatever is there, fine. Listening to music, which is what I have shown here. So there are different ways that you can relax yourself. You look for what is best for you. Now remember this, there is no best relaxation technique. No, nothing like that in the world at all. Sir, he says, when I listen to very soft, old melodious music, that is the best stress buster. Fine, that is the best stress buster for him. It may not work for you. உங்களுக்கு குத்து பாட்டு போட்டால் தான் நல்லா ரிலாக்ஸ் ஆகலாம். So you might enjoy listening to Pink Floyd, or you like to listen to hard metal. That might be your source of relaxation. Perfectly all right. Nothing wrong with that. So see what suits you best. Choose that relaxation technique. What I have written now is reading. A wonderful habit, not just for you, but for also for your whole family, especially for the children. இந்த புஸ்தகம் படிக்கிற பழக்கம் ரொம்ப மாறி போச்சு. We have all got out of it. We spend a lot of time watching TV, movies, Netflix, this, that nonsense. So our screen time has increased, reading time has disappeared. Please bring it back. It is good for you, it is good for your family, and it is good for very good for your children. Okay, reading. And then the last line is a very simple line, but very important. Adequate water, meaning 2.5 to 3 liters of water per day, at least 2.5 liters you need to take. Rest, you need to have 8 hours sleep in a day. 6 hours is the basic minimum, nothing less than that. 7 is okay. 7 or 8 is what we need, nothing less works. The definition of success has changed so much these days that we think you sleep only for 3 hours and work all the time. So sir, he works 20 hours a day, sir. Bayangaraman aalu, sir. No, nonsense. That means that fellow doesn't know about life. He has not understood life. No. You work like a dog for 16 hours, fine. 8 hours sleep properly. Okay. So if you skip sleep and work, you should not have the wrong impression that you are doing more, you are becoming a better person, or that now the society will appreciate you because even without sleeping you are working. Nonsense. Don't do that. Okay. So you need that 7 to 8 hours of sleep. And rest, of course, is in between. Okay. Right. Now, finally, you come to a word which many of us have forgotten. It's a word called humor. Humor என்னங்க? சந்தோஷமா சிரிக்கிறது. Just to laugh at jokes. Even today, when I go to some friend's house, I see a comic book, I pick it up. I still read Archie's and all those comic books. I like to sit and read. And everybody's like, hey, nada vaisu, what's your age? This is the age. There's no age for happiness. Remember that. Humor is something you should find in, and you can find it all around us. Since all of you are, at least most of you are addicted to this mobiles and WhatsApp, you know how much of joy that comes from these memes that you see, isn't it? Very well memes and all. Excellent, isn't it? How nice feeling you get when you read it. That is humor. And we have all forgotten it. That's a sad part anyway. So humor, bring it back into your life. That's part of your self-management plan. Okay? Now once you're able to do all that, then you are now set on the path to becoming a very stress-free person. So quickly I'm going to tell you 10 lines, 10 commandments to avoid stress. Commandment number 1, make peace with imperfection. உலகத்தில் எதுவுமே பெர்ஃபெக்ட் கிடையாது. Nobody is perfect in this world. Let's get that straight. Not you, not me, not anybody. We have our good points, we have our bad points. Perfectly all right. Because life is perfect with all these imperfections. In fact, it is the imperfections which make life interesting. That is what makes life very happy, something challenging to live. If everything was perfect, where is the challenge? Where is the stress? Isn't it? No. You need those imperfections to drive you to be a better person, to make changes in society. People go and do a lot of social activism, isn't it? They try to help so many people. That's because there are imperfections in society. But that's perfectly alright. That's how life is going to be. Accept it. Second, make peace with incompletion. What is incompletion? நான் வாழ்க்கையில் இதெல்லாம் முடிக்கணும், இந்த வருஷத்துக்குள்ள நான் இதெல்லாம் முடிக்கணும், டார்கெட் செட் பண்ணி ரொம்ப கஷ்டப்பட்டு அந்த டார்கெட்டை முடிக்க முயற்சி பண்ணோம் இல்லையா? It is not something very desirable is what we are trying to say. All of us are going to die one day with a list of things that we have not yet finished. I wanted to do this. ஐயோ நான் வந்து பெங்களூர் போகணும்னு நினச்சேன், ஸ்விட்சர்லாந்து போகணும்னு நினச்சேன். I wanted to go swimming once along with the dolphins. These are all part of my plans, but now I am sick, I cannot go. I've got arthritis, I am not able to move. You will have a big list of things which you will not be able to complete before you die. And that's perfectly alright. That's life. That's how it's going to be. Not just for you, for me, for everybody. Accept it. Perfectionists and disciplinarians very rarely find inner peace. எல்லாமே பர்ஃபெக்டாக இருக்கணுங்கிறதுல பிரச்சனை இல்லை. It's very nice to have perfectionists because they make the rules, they try to set things right. Disciplinary also. Problem is when they expect it from others. That is where the problem comes. They can be perfectionists, but then they should be able to accept the imperfection. First point, பார்த்தீங்களா? Point number 1. If they are able to make peace with the imperfection of others, but be perfectionists themselves, no problem. But that they won't do. They'll be perfectionists. They'll want the whole world to become perfectionists. That is where the problem comes. And that is why they may be successful in being, whatever job they do or whatever, because they are so disciplined and so perfectionist. But they will hardly have peace in their life. Okay? Right. Gentle, relaxed, loving people can be super achievers too. Please remember this. Just before I told you about the sleep, the person who does not sleep 8 hours, sir, this fellow is lazy, he sleeps 8 hours every day. See, that person, he sleeps only 4 hours. He's a successful man. No. Gentle, relaxed, loving people can be absolute super achievers also. You don't have to be a type A, mad, crazy, fully driven person to be successful. Remember that. Okay. Next. Life isn't an emergency. Slow down. Slow down. Live for the moment. இன்னைக்கு உங்களுக்கு guaranteed life is this second. Even as I am talking, I might have a problem, I might just collapse like this. Where is the guarantee? This moment that I am living now and talking to you, this is fact. இதுதான் உண்மை. நிரந்தரம் இதுதான். நிரந்தரமே கிடையாது லைஃப் இல்லையா? This is the only thing that is true. It's true for you also. So remember this. Live for the moment. Every moment in your life is precious. You can plan for the next 20 years, 15 years, but you don't know what God has planned for the next 5 years for you. So don't make plans. That's why, if how many of you know John Lennon? I don't know, we don't have the time to go to chat. John Lennon was one of the Beatles, right? Now, he said, life is what is happening while we are all busy planning for our future. Now, future, I put in a deposit for 15 years. When it comes, it will be 10 lakhs. With that 10 lakhs, I'm going to do that. All these dreams are fine. Planning is good. I'm not saying no. All that is there. But do not live for that moment. இதெல்லாம் வந்து இந்த 10 லட்சம் எனக்கு கைக்கு வந்தோடனே we are planning a Europe tour. So அதுக்காக நான் இப்போ கஷ்டப்பட்டுக்கிட்டே இருக்கேன் for the 10 years now. That's nonsense. Plan for that. Put the money, but enjoy today. Today, go to Kodaikanal. Go to the nearby Vaigai Dam. You don't have to go hundreds of thousands of kilometers. Go 100 kilometers away. Spend the weekend in a small resort and come back. Enjoy today, but plan for tomorrow. That is fine. Okay? So live life every single day of your life is what I want you to remember. Many of you might not, especially those who are driven and who are people who think of success as always being on the go, will not accept this point. Be bored. Daydream. வேடிக்கை பாருங்க. எதையோ யோசிச்சுட்டு உட்காருங்க. Go blank. என்ன நடக்குது தெரியாமல் அதான் உட்காந்து வேடிக்கை பாருங்க. விட்டத்தை பாருங்கன்னு சொல்லுவாங்க அந்த காலத்தில். Do that and do it daily. Be a human being. We are all human beings, which means we have life to enjoy. That's why we are called human beings. We are being today. This moment we are being. அவ்வளோதான். We are not a human doing. We are not made to keep on doing things till we die. No, we are not human doings. We are human beings. Remember that. So be alive now. Be alive at this moment. Be alive today, now. And that is what we say when I say be a human being. Worry will snowball. If you have worries, it will keep on multiplying. what if the salary is not credited this month? What if it doesn't come for the next 6 months? It will become more and more. Snowball means becoming more and more. So moment you start thinking about one problem, you will start imagining it becoming bigger and bigger and bigger, and it will make your life miserable. Okay, so that's why Mark Twain, I'm sure it's a name that must be familiar for all of you. He said, I have been through some terrible things in my life, some of which actually happened. Most of the things that he imagined never happened. So most of the things, terrible things he thought will happen in his life never happened. So only some of them happened, most of them did not. He simply wasted his time worrying about so many things, which is what we all do, isn't it? We think this will happen, that will happen, and then suddenly nothing happened, everything is clear, and say, now nothing has happened, thank God. That's the truth. So don't keep worrying about things. Remember this too shall pass. My 1 hour lecture also you will be able to manage all stresses. Everything will pass, good and bad. Remember that also. Peak we are at the peak of our performance, earning the maximum, being socially acknowledged, thinking you are the best person. Everybody says claps, thinks, sir, nobody like you, sir. But remember, this too shall pass. Within another 5 years, there will be another person in that place getting the claps. You will be out of the picture. Remember this. Good and bad passes. So when you think about stress, you should be willing to take that also, good and bad. Number 9 is quieten your mind. Go for yoga, meditation, do gardening. There are so many simple activities. Gardening is a wonderful, wonderful pastime. It's a good hobby to teach your children. It teaches them so many things about life when you teach them gardening. Reading and gardening, I will insist that parents do this with your children. Very good for their life. It teaches them so many other things, along with games, of course, which teaches them team spirit, winning and losing, all that. Like that, gardening and reading books will teach your children excellent life skills. Okay, so quieten your mind, make it silent. Don't be always thinking, and loading your mind with a lot of thoughts. Okay, right. Finally, number 10. The body benefits from movement. That's why we do a lot of exercise. We go for jogging, running, jumping, this, that, gym, everything. The body definitely benefits from movement. But please remember this. The mind benefits from stillness. That's why the 9th point and the 10th point go together. Quieten your mind. The mind benefits from stillness. Your body, physical body, benefits from movement. Okay? Remember this. So, having said all this, what is the ultimate achievement? What is it that you want? What is it that you want to achieve in life finally? Financial security. Okay, suppose somebody gives you 10 lakhs. From that day onwards, you're going to be an excellent, happy individual without any stress? Of course not. How to invest this? How to make more money out of this? What do I do? Your mind is going to keep working on that. Somebody says, okay, you're going to get a double promotion, you're going to be made the director of the institute. Wonderful, sir. But then political pressure will come. What will I do about the appointments? Will I please him or will I please her? Everywhere, whatever happens, you'll find there is a catch. So whatever you think as achievement, as success today, and I want you to think about this point, is actually not the achievement that we should be aiming at. The only achievement that really makes sense is this. Happiness is the ultimate achievement. With money, without money, with studies, without studies. If you are happy, you are successful. Take it from me. If you are happy, you are really living. You are a human being. You are living every minute. You are enjoying your life. You are stress-free. And God put you on earth to live sensibly, happily, and enjoy nature that has been created for us. அது எல்லாம் பண்ணாமல் வெறும் பேங்க் பேலன்ஸ் மட்டும் ஏற்றி வச்சுட்டு வாழ்க்கையை அனுபவிக்காமல் போனோம்னா that is not the meaning of life. So happiness is the ultimate achievement. Whether through money, through this, whatever it is, everything comes down. If you still don't find happiness, I'm sorry, you're not a successful person. However big you are, however rich you are, doesn't make any difference. Okay? And happiness, remember this, is a state of mind. It is not something that you can buy. It is not something to get or something to achieve by, I do this course, I do that course, I become happy. No. The less you do, the happier you become. The quieter you become, the happier you become. The calmer you become, the happier you become. Okay? So remember this, and happiness comes from there. That is what is remembered. So finally, just summarizing quickly, we have had almost an hour of talk. To remember about stress, I'm going to show you one slide. Okay? Just to remember about stress, so that all that we talked for the past 1 hour, it will come back like that into your memory. Look at these pictures. What is stress? It's load on a system. What causes stress? We think it is external, it is not. It is actually the internal factors. And what is the magic word? It is balance. So you need load, that is the stress, but it should not be so much that it causes problems. If it causes problems, then it becomes what is called distress, and that is what we don't want. Stress is a good word. Stress is good. Remember that. Distress is what we don't want. So I have taught you what it is and how to balance stress in such a way, like the Veena, so that you are able to live a stressful. There's a word called enough. Podumana alavu stress. Enough stress to keep your life happy, not so much to make it a distressful, unhappy life. Okay? So that is what I want to remember. And now only one more picture to forget about stress. Now this picture is for you to remember about stress. Now seeing this picture, if you can remember it in your mind, you can write a 20-mark answer in your case, exam if you want. Anybody asks you stress, you can write 5 pages, 6 pages on this, can't you? Now one picture, just one picture to forget about stress. You remember this one picture now I am going to show you next, and then all your stress will disappear. And that picture is this. See the picture, look at the picture, look at the child, imagine how you can attain that status of relaxation. Relax. Only if your mind becomes quiet, your mind becomes calm, your body is fit, at the same time getting adequate sleep, adequate rest, drinking water, eating well. All these things are embodied in that one small child, sleeping so comfortably in a very uncomfortable bed, if you can call it that, and with all, hand tucked in, leg here and all, and still look at the child. Absolutely peaceful, absolutely happy. This is happiness. Thank you very much. I wish each one of you become the happiest, stress-free person in this world. All the very best, and wish you success. For the next 5 minutes, probably 10 minutes, I'll take some questions from you and I'll try to answer that for you, okay? You can please type it out in your chat. I'll see the chat and I'll start answering your questions, and then we can wind up the session. Thank you very much for a very patient hearing. Namaskar. Vanakkam. Huh?
5 minutes, waiting for 5 minutes. First slide.
First slide?
ஒன்றும் சார்
இதுலையே வா, முன்னாடி பேர் வா.
ஃபஸ்ட்டு ஸ்லைட். ஓகே, 5 minutes ஸ்டோரிஸ் முடிச்சோன்னா தேங்க் பண்ணிடுங்க சார். 5 minutes ஸ்டோரிஸ்.
Somebody has written, asked, does flattering reduce stress? It certainly does. Both for the flatterer, because it's appreciation. Always remember this. When you appreciate somebody, it sends a lot of good endorphins into your brain. It makes you feel nice. And of course, the one who is listening to the flattery feels very nice and happy, isn't it? So they'll definitely get a shot of endorphin. But when you appreciate somebody, when you flatter somebody, and when I say flatter, with a little bit of genuineness, not just vanja puhalchin solvom, not just flattering for the sake of getting a promotion or getting a leave or for our own personal gains. That is, flattery is not what I'm talking about. When you're flattering from the heart, so it was wonderful things like that, then definitely it is good. Okay, when mainly expectation falls, one of you have asked. Yes, expectation will fall, because the very word says expectation, இல்லையா? எதிர்பார்ப்புகள் இருந்தால் ஏமாற்றங்கள் வரும். When you expect something to happen, you are likely, I'm not saying it will, but you are more likely to face failure, because expectation is an imagined limit or imagined goal. I expect to earn 10,000 rupees within next 2 months through my online marketing, something like that. I'm just giving an example. It's an expectation or a goal, that's fine, but it's only an imagined thing. It's not real. The reality is the hard work you put in to get or reach that expectation. If you are mentally at peace and you are a human being, who means you are relaxed, calm, you have your goal, you work towards it, you aimed at 10,000, you got 7,000, and you say, I thought 10,000, I got 7,000. Okay, next 2 months, another 10,000, let me try. If you're able to just take it like that, accept it and go on to the next, no problem. What we do is, we have an expectation of 10,000, you got only 7,000, oh my God, what, I can't even do this, I can't even achieve, am I a failure, why am I not even able to achieve this small thing, see that person has achieved so much, that lady has got this much, why can't I do it, that means I'm a failure, that means I'm useless, no wonder I'm not able to take care of my children, no wonder my son is not coming first in class. You link this small incident, it's not even a failure, it's just an incident, to everything in your life, and you start feeling miserable, isn't it? So I know the one who asked, I'm not mentioning by name, so you asked about that. I hope you got the answer. Over expectations can cause problems unless you have the mental maturity and the calmness to accept when things don't happen as you want. It will not necessarily always. It might happen, it might not. So when you know option A, option B are there, you get it, okay, I aimed for it, I got it. You didn't get it, oh, I aimed for it, I couldn't get it, but I came close, okay, next time I'll try harder. Keep going, absolutely no problem. In fact, it becomes a motivation for the next 2 months or 3 months to perform even better, right? How to handle fear. Now, emotional mastery, mastering your emotions, emotional management, fear comes along that, isn't it? So that's an entirely different topic. It's a 1 hour topic like this. Maybe we can have a webinar on emotional mastery and stuff like that later. That's entirely unrelated. Fear is one of the causes of stress. True. Fear is one of the very powerful emotions that can bring in a lot of negative thinking, unnecessary imagination, expectations, meaning bad expectations. Oh, if this happens, that will happen, my life will go off, the students, my son's education gets spoiled, you imagine so many unnecessary negative things. So fear does cause a lot of negative reactions, but fear, it becomes just one cause of your stress. So if you know how to handle stress, those 10 points that I told you and the self-management plans that I told you, if you are doing that, even when this fear comes in, you'll be able to say, okay, what? Somebody is going to hit me, okay, either they hit me or I escape, that's all, no, okay, how do I escape? I'll plan for that. If they come to hit me, if I get hit, okay, I go for treatment, that's it. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen, accept it. Life is acceptance. If you're able to do that, no problem, no fears, no stress, you will live very peacefully, happily with whatever is around you, with every single minute gives you pleasure. Now this 1 hour that I have spent with you is absolutely invigorating for me, because I could almost feel the connect with almost 400, 500 of you that are possibly simultaneously watching this. I can feel that connect, and from the continuous chat messages that are coming in that I'm watching, I can sense the questions that are coming in, the anxieties in you, the doubts that you've got, so many of them. Wonderful. I wish we had more time. We don't, but we'll always meet again. And thank you for making me so, keeping me so invigorated with your very active participation. I should definitely thank the organizing secretary and especially the program convener, Dr. Devi, who has given this opportunity to be a part of this 1 hour discussion amongst all of you wonderful people, a lot of very well educated people, much more educated than me. And I'd like to thank even the support staff who have made this web broadcast possible. Thank you one and all, and wish you all the very best, and wish you happiness in your life always. Thank you.